Okay, so this abduction, during this time, I do believe it was Joel, by the way, that gave me this experience, but at the time, I hadn't, you know, singled him out or whatever, and I hadn't named him yet or whatever, but I do believe it was Joel now, and that just dawned on me a couple weeks ago when I was doing this template, because he did something with the, like, he did some kind of virtual reality with like a rope type of thing, and he's done that to me before. So yeah, it was him, because they do the same shit all the time. He does the same things over and over again. He has the same style or whatever. But at the time, during this time in 2013, this being kept, which I guess could have been Joel each and every time, it's like he kept flying down real fast into my bedroom and just whipping me out through the top of my head, and then just, and then he plops me down, you know, in the virtual reality scenario. That's what he was doing at that time. So anyway, this experience I wrote down. I still remember it clearly, all of it. But, so this is how it went down. So anyway, okay, when he first plopped me down into the scenario, I felt like I was being rushed and timed, like he was timing me or something. I guess it's just how they programmed the experience or whatever, because they already, like, somehow when they give you the experience, they already pre-program it in your brain somehow, or sometimes, maybe not all the times. Okay, so the Reptilian, which I do believe was Joel now, kept rushing me in this experience. I don't know why. And also, you know, he controlled everything, of course, because like I said, he already pre-programmed. He controlled me to do everything, and he already pre-programmed everything when he gave me the experience. That's why sometimes they can only last, you know, a certain amount of time, and then it's like, and then it goes black in your consciousness, because they only program it for a certain length of time or whatever. And yeah, it's weird. Sometimes they can seem like they can last 15 minutes, and other times 2 or 3 hours when you're under the abduction. Okay, so he plopped me in a house full of children, and when he plopped me into the house full of children, there were children over to the left. A lot of them, like 30 or 35, like running around in a small living room over to the left, or family room. And right when he plopped me down, Joel already programmed me to think, you know, I was thinking in my head, okay, I'm the representation of a male reptilian being. I already knew that. Or a representation of a male reptilian entity that all the moms and children feared, and who always came to molest the children in the night or morning time. Okay, so anyway, as he plopped me down, and I already knew that I was a representation of a male reptilian being who always came, you know, to screw around with the children, and who the children and the moms feared. Okay, at that point, after I had those thoughts, the children, and I was just standing there in the living room, or at the outer edge of the living room, between the living room, and then over to the right was the, up a little ways up, over to the right was the kitchen, a small kitchen, and over to the left was the doors going outside. So anyway, the children scattered fast. Once he plopped me down into the living room or family room, the children all scattered. The children scattered fast and went outside as I entered the room. I grabbed, okay, this was the really cool part. So I saw this girl, she like ran out, you know, as all the other children, and I grabbed her with my mind, and then I just like plopped her down, like not real hard, on the floor. I mean, this was completely 100% realistic. It was completely just no different than like being in 3D. It's so weird. And so I scattered she had shorter hair than this right here. She was actually cuter than that, and she had shorter hair. Okay, so then I grabbed the girl with my mind, and I brought her back in the living room and sort of tossed her down, not hard. And then she kind of was like squirming around, you know, her legs or whatever. And like I say, I did this, I yanked her out, you know, from outside, but with my mind. It was so cool. Okay, so anyway, everything was like totally physical. It was just like real 3D, except it was all virtual reality. Anyway, so I had 2 missions to complete, one with the girl and one with the boy. And like I said, Joel had made me do sexual things before, you know, with adults, but never children. And this was the first time. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is the first time he's ever tried to make me do things to the children. But he was, you know, that's how he programmed it, and he, you know, controlled everything. And the reason why I know why he probably created this scenario, because see, at the time I was, you know, I kept listening to David Icke lectures and stuff, and you know, the reptilians, they like to mock, and David Icke kept talking about pedophiles and shit. So I already had all that on my brain, because that's all he ever talks about in his lectures and all that. So that was very clear in my brain, all those lectures that I was listening to at the time. I don't listen to them anymore because I pretty much already know everything. You know, but that was 2012, 2013, 2014, mainly 2013 was when I was listening to all those lectures, and then I was having all these experiences as well. So he was mocking that. I know he was, because I know how he operates. Okay, so anyway, I had 2 missions to complete. I thought the kids, okay, so when I went outside, I saw the kids like standing around, but I didn't see a van. And I thought they were going on a field trip. But yet, there was another time, not long after that, I think it seemed like I stepped out again, and then it seemed like I did see a white van. So anyway, they do kind of like to confuse me sometimes when I'm under the experience. Because after I knew I had, you know, the 2 missions to complete, and I yanked one girl with my mind back inside and plopped her down on the floor, I went outside and I saw all the children standing around. And I was like, you know, I was thinking they were going on a field trip, but I didn't see any van. And then it's like, a second time I stepped outside, and it's like I saw a white van, but yet I still never saw them get into the van. So anyway, I thought the kids were going on a field trip, but then I realized they feared me, the bad entity, which I was a representation of a male reptilian entity. So they ran outside because they feared me, but then again, I thought they were going on a field trip. And like I say, so that was kind of the confusing part, because, and I forgot to put that in here, but I'm pretty sure the second time around when I stepped outside, I did see a white van. Okay, so anyway, so I walked in the kitchen and I overheard, the kitchen was over to the right of me. It was a small kitchen and 2 good-looking mothers. It's like they were the babysitters of all these children. 2 good-looking mothers were standing there face to face, just 6 inches from each other. And they were like all worried. They were like talking, like they were all worried. They had all this worry on their face and talking to each other. They were talking about how those entities haven't came back in a while to mess with the children. Or hope, you know, they were saying stuff like, oh, I hope those bad entities don't come back. And there I was back. But they couldn't see me. I was invisible to them. Okay, so there I was back, the bad reptilian entity. They couldn't see me. The women looked about 47 or 48. They were very good looking, and it's like they were the babysitters of all these children. Okay, so anyway, I had 2 missions to complete, one with the boy and one with the girl. I already had the girl. It's like Joel, who abducted me, was timing me or something. Because like I said, when he plopped me down into the experience, I felt rushed. To complete the 2 missions, I felt like I was being timed. It was funny and kind of illegal too, and very realistic, but one part was not. but it wasn't that bad. I was me still, so I was nice, but the reptilian made me do those two things with the children. Some details were very sweet. It was so real. I don't know how they do it. Okay, so anyway, with the girl, I have to edit some stuff out. But as I was taking her clothes off, it was so hilarious. I was taking her clothes off, and she kept having layers and layers and layers and layers of clothes, and I just kept having to take off and take off, take off and take off. You know, they like to do these funny things, these beings. Okay, so I just kept taking layers and layers and layers of clothes off. Well, at first, though, she had it was like a pink dress, but I still was taking off layers and layers under the dress. But anyway, so he made me do some sexual things, and then, but it was so funny because when I looked up at her face, I looked down at her face. She had this like her eyes looked, you know, like she was like looking like back, like she was in a lot of fear. And then, so after I proceeded to do some illegal things or whatever, then I looked after the reptilian, you know, made me finish with all that. I looked back up at her face, and she was freaking grinning. She was kind of smirking and grinning, like ha 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 ha, like she was in on it with the reptilian to make me do those things and to disturb. I mean, because after I woke up out of this experience, I was very disturbed because, you know, at the time, I was just starting to realize that the beings were giving me this experiences all my life. But it's like the girl was in on it because she really wasn't in fear at all. She was freaking smirking and shit. You know, so that was kind of cool. So anyway, but I'm leaving some parts out, but it was all freaking 100% realistic. But with the boy, it was funny. It was funny, comical, and not as realistic. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, I said, it was funny and kind of illegal too, and very realistic. But one part was not. But it wasn't that bad. I was me still, so I was nice. But the reptilian made me do those two things. Some details were very sweet. It was so real. I don't know how they do it. And then I said I am omitting the small, little, funny, sweet, sexual details. I was totally me. The reptilian didn't try to change my personality or anything. I remember even going outside and wondered why the children bailed out of the house. I remember even going outside and I wondered why the children bailed out of the house, but I don't remember seeing a van. I realized they feared me. I thought I already said that. But anyway, the second time, I forgot, you know, the second time I did go out there and I did see a white van, but I forgot to put that in here. But anyway, there was 25 children or more. I totally remember every single detail. And well, one of the things that he made me do was something, you know, because see, they like to mock. So anything that you've done in 3D, like sexually with somebody or whatever, they're apt to take that and mock in, you know, in a scenario. Okay, so the boy, okay, so then after the women were talking and saying that they feared that the beings may come back or whatever, which I did come back. So then I went straight ahead, and the door leading to the outside, that was like a single door. The other doors to where all the children were standing, those were kind of like, what are they called? French doors or whatever. But the door off to the kitchen, that was, there wasn't a door there. It was just a doorway. There wasn't a door, and it was already open. And so I just walked outside, and the boy was already sitting there by the tree. So the boy was just already sitting down outside the kitchen area by a tree. So I didn't have to grab him, so to speak. I just walked up to him, and he said, he looked at me like all cocky and stuff. He was cocky. And the expressions on his face was so funny. He said, are there entities like you? Oh yeah, he said, are there entities like you in your town too? But he was like all cocky about it. And by the way too, I felt like I was in Illinois. I know it's kind of weird, but I did feel like I was in Illinois. So he may have already the reptilian kind of already programmed me to think that. Because I did. I felt like I was in Illinois, but I didn't put that in here. And the kid knew who I was. I didn't know if the girl knew who I was, but the kid knew that I was a reptilian entity. He knew that I was the bad reptilian entity, so to speak. Anyway, in here I put I don't know what town I was supposed to be in or state, but like I said, I forgot to put the fact that I did totally feel like I was in Illinois. Okay, so anyway, so he knew I was a bad reptilian entity. Okay, so I told the boy yes. Oh yeah, I told the boy yes, because he said, are there any entities like you in your town too? And I said yes. The funny thing is, the boy was all cocky and smart alecky when he asked me that. That was really cute though. The boy then said, what end are you on? And I said, the good one. So then the reptilian totally shut off the abduction and I was back in my bed. It was almost like after I said that, I already knew ahead of time that the abduction was about to end, because after I said the good one, like I paused. I was thinking in my head, okay, I knew the experience was over with and I was waiting for the reptilian, which was Joel, to stick me back in bed. Like I already knew it was over with. I paused and hesitated right after I said that, waiting for the reptilian to put me back in bed. Almost like the reptilian put a DVD in and the whole scenario abduction played out and I already knew the ending. Also, it was funny how the reptilian made the boy use the word end instead of side. They don't know our reality 100% or language. So anyway, the sexual thing he made me do with the boy, I don't know, it was like I looked down and he started playing with his thingy, but it grew out like 22 inches like a rope. So that's what I mean, it wasn't realistic. And he started sucking on it himself. And so anyway, that was the sexual part with the boy. That's why I'm saying it wasn't very realistic with him, but with the girl it was 100% realistic. And he's done that to me before with turning me into a hermaphrodite. He made it look like a rope.